Hello everyone, I'm Darren again. Today's topic is looking at limerence. In this video, I'll outline what limerence is, where it can come from, and give some ideas to help overcome it. So let's begin. Limerence, that's a term that was coined by psychologist Dorthy Tennov, and it describes an intense, involuntary emotional state of infatuation. And this could be characterized by obsessive thoughts and fantasies about someone, typically, though not always, in a romantic context. But limerence is different from being in love or experiencing unrequited love. Nor is it just about having a huge crush on someone, because it isn't based on the things that might make for a healthy loving relationship such as commitment, companionship, or deep connection. It's more an obsessive fantasy and longing. There's an overwhelming need for feelings to be reciprocated, and this can lead to mood swings depending on the perceived interest or disinterest from the other person. And limerence can affect people in different ways. It can lead to intrusive or persistent thoughts where someone thinks about the other person obsessively. There could be rumination, replaying interactions, and fantasizing about future interactions, which can amplify the limerent feelings. But it can also lead to a dependency on someone else for happiness, validation, sometimes maybe even rescue. There can also be a fear of rejection, and this can feel like being on something of an emotional roller coaster, because someone could experience moments of elation whenever they believe their feelings might be returned, but also deep lows whenever they're met with uncertainty, rejection, or silence. But generally, a limerent person tends to idealize someone and focuses on their positive attributes and their qualities while often downplaying or ignoring their flaws. And it's always with an enduring hope that their feelings will be reciprocated, but also feelings of despair whenever they aren't. And in an unhealthy toxic situation or relationship, a limerent person may endure a lot of mistreatment to keep the person they have idealized close to them. Now, an example of limerence could be, say, on social media, where a limerent person idolizes someone they follow online. Now, they've never met the person, they only really know what they have seen online, but they have a perfect image of that person. And the fact that they can communicate directly can add to the fantasy version of the person and the relationship. They get a dopamine hit every time they get a response of some kind. But they can also experience a huge sense of rejection if they get a negative response or none at all. So where does limerence come from? Well, as always, it's never a one-size-fits-all answer, but it can stem from unmet emotional or psychological needs. For instance, it could come from childhood or relationship neglect, where someone could project their unmet needs onto someone else, hoping they will be fulfilled. Or someone could experience significant life changes or maybe periods of extreme stress, and this could make them more vulnerable to experiencing limerence. It could be as a way to cope with the uncertainty, or it could be the hope of being rescued by someone they admire. Another possible cause could be how some people who may feel socially isolated, well, they might latch on to the idea of a relationship and they latch onto it with a heightened intensity. They're looking for an escape from the loneliness. Another potential cause could be having low self-esteem. This might make someone susceptible to limerence as they hope to feel better about themselves through the perceived love or interest of someone they idealize. But another reason could be some people may already be in unhealthy relationships and they might begin to develop strong feelings and begin to fantasize about someone else, someone they see as their potential soulmate, the person who can save them from their current misery. Now, in his book, The Human Magnet Syndrome, Rosenberg describes how limerence in a narcissistic relationship can be particularly intense because the early stages of the relationship, well, the initial attention, it could feel like the ultimate validation of the limerent person's fantasies. It's like a dream come true for them. Narcissistic people often present versions of themselves to prospective partners. They could be attentive, funny, passionate, brave, intelligent. Whatever it is, they think the person they're pursuing finds attractive. And that's what they model. And that's the version the person falls for. Now, in one of her videos, Dr. Romani DeVersala said she reckoned in narcissistic relationships, limerence looks very similar to trauma bonding. And I would agree in the sense that In a relationship with a narcissist, there's often a cycle involving acts of love bombing and idealizing, but then they very quickly move to devaluation and discard. Now, a limerent person could be desperately wanting to feel as if they have some kind of significance to the narcissist, but they're only really getting breadcrumbs of hope here and there to keep them hooked in the cycle. And this cycle can keep someone in a state of hope and despair as they try to regain the idealized version of the narcissist and the relationship. But this also feeds the narcissist's ego as they exploit the limerent person's hopes. Now, as with trauma bonding, when the good times come, the affection, the being noticed, well, there can be a dopamine hit, and this is linked to the pleasure and reward pathways in the brain. So the intermittent reinforcement from the narcissistic person can create something of a dopamine loop, and this is similar to what you often see with addiction, but it's also similar to what you see when a limerent person receives positive responses and engagement. Now, as previously said, if a limerent person goes into a relationship with a narcissistic person, they might not just miss the warning signs, but sometimes might even ignore them in the hope of their feelings being reciprocated. And manipulative, coercive people can exploit that need for love and reciprocation. So how do you break the cycle of limerence? Well, a good place to start is maybe by seeing a therapist. But also, be honest with yourself. This can be difficult, but can also be freeing. For instance, how realistic are the chances of the relationship or the type of relationship you dream of? Is the person you fantasize over, are they actually available? Could they really give you what you desire? And what is the person you're obsessing over? What are they really truly like? Be honest and be balanced. Also, recognize that intense feelings of limerence are not necessarily true love. Rather, they're an emotional response to idealization. It might be an obsessive infatuation where there's a strong need to have those feelings reciprocated. So, again, being honest with yourself, do you really want them? Or do you want them to want you? Next, have realistic expectations of them as well as of yourself. No one likes to feel rejected, but others don't have to feel the same way that you do. And if you want a relationship, choose someone who is available, someone who likes you and is interested in you, and take the time to get to know each other. Let the love grow naturally. Don't expect the impossible from them, but also don't accept breadcrumbs of affection from someone who makes their love highly conditional. If you have to, maybe just end it. Walk away. Now, I know that none of this is easy, but as I said earlier, the support of a good therapist can help. So that's a brief outline of limerence, which, as I said, is much more than just having a crush on someone. Some of the reasons why it can manifest and some ideas to help overcome it. But, as always, if there's anything I've missed, anything you might like to add, please use the comment section. There are some interesting conversations start from these videos. But if you find this topic to be interesting, please consider subscribing, and until next time, thanks for watching.